all ready?
Yes, sir.
It is. I don't know what time. Oh, it seems a little romantic too. Time, Pamela, what time is it?
It is 4:07.
4:07. Pam, would you please note we have quorum, Mr. Uxer, myself, Ms. Robles, Dr. Graham present. Call the meeting to order. Anybody here speak under public comment? Once, twice? No. Sir, it's all yours.
Chair Fierro and board members, I'd like to start just by playing a little bit of this video we played. It's only 4 minutes long, and this was all shot in the month of November, throughout the November. So if you'll allow me to play it. And it starts with the most recent project in the definition of asset and land returns map. As you can tell, mission is really hard and long. Oh, I'm sorry. Look at that.
Pam, did you talk to Bonnie?
No,
I talked to her. Okay. Answered you.
I did speed up the speed of the drone a little bit, like 2 times, so it wouldn't be so slow. So that's why you see people moving really fast and cars are really fast.
I thought they were just in a hurry.
I thought maybe you said
We're trying to get ahead of schedule.
Yeah, that's right. They're moving really fast.
It's hot.
It's for you'll see I have a yeah, and you'll see.
Is this your drone or is it E EPCC's?
No, sorry, CCMs.
I think Rick had one too.
And all this footage is available to you all if you will be glad to share it.
Has a trolley been any issue to the construction at Rio Grande?
Not yet, they just started, but to our knowledge, there's been no issues or complaints. I mean, we stay in touch with you.
Thank you for the music. I know.
It's a tower crane, yeah.
That's the large.
And the floor plan is all the time now. You'll see there's another picture a little more recent. Floor plan is completely slab. Yeah. Something.
This one is to see the garage.
Uh-huh.
I've had more comment from people wanting to attend that function and
Oh, really?
Sir, that is just storage, the other one's for the small. Trans Mountain is really, you already the massing on Trans Mountain, so you can really tell it's not like that. It blends in real well with the rest of the campus.
What's a meat screen? What's a meat screen? That was very nice, thank you.
The strongest player. Yes, please.
Okay, item 4.1.
So starting with the page for the projects, I'll start now with Mission Del Paso. Just as you've seen, it's moving right along. We did, and this was right before the last meeting, we did get, are you okay for some time?
No.
Oh, okay, okay. On October 16th was right before our last monthly meeting. I told you that we got a conditional permit from the county. Now we actually have the final permit, so we're all good. On October 23rd, we got that permit. November 24th. And on October 21st, they actually started on the ground and with the dirt work. Then on November 14th, after the final building permit obtained, we actually, the contractor got the trailers on site. And right now, all the stormwater measures are in place, all the facilities in place equally. The right side grading is already 50% complete. The FLECO is really taking off. It's very, very rewarding to see how quick they hit the ground. They were ready. And overbuilding and all the excavation of the pads is 50%. So right now they're already, as you can tell, 884 man hours already. So this is of this week. So we're definitely making progress. This is the northwest. And just to give you an idea of scale, we're talking a little bit about that retaining wall there. Actually, it's going to be 14 feet. So you can tell this building is probably maybe about 6 feet, 5, 6. And that's a 6 feet, that's going to be up to 14 feet, that retaining wall. So that's one of the things we're really wanted to get done. And thank goodness now with the building permit that we obtained on 10/24.
Mr. Extra, I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see
Can
that.
you just point out where the retaining wall?
Yes, sir. It's right here. See the shadow there of the retaining wall? That's gonna go even higher, and the retaining wall is right here. So this is at ground level, right
Oh,
there.
okay, so
And
it's,
so we're about 50, no, it said 30% that was complete. Let me see exactly what I said. 30%, yes.
so it's actually, yeah, supporting the base.
It's a retaining wall for, yes, sir. Yes, sir, for the field that when they will do the slab, for the buildings. And two big things that we had in our way was that a gas line and a AT&T line, that's over as well. So now there's really no apparent reason to why they shouldn't just blow and go. And overall, we're still doing pretty good. You'll see here in the billings expenses, you can tell we're right on the dot. Well, of course, we just started, but at least see here, you can see that despite the time lost, we're still on track as far as building is concerned. Rio Grande,
It's moving,
pardon?
it's moving.
Oh, yeah, it's moving good. They finished, thank goodness. El Paso Electric took them forever to get on the site, but once they did, they moved fast. And they actually got the existing pole, if you recall, that's what was keeping us from finishing up the piers. And so all the piers are done now. And they also finish up the hookup for the little temple, and also, I believe physical planning, I was working with the historical commission, because just to plug in basically the building, we need permission from the historical commission. So that's also in progress. And they also build the temporary service to the crane, the tower crane that came in on October 20th. We are estimating about 40 calendar days behind. We are visiting with Arrow to see what we can do to recover some of that time. It's going to be very difficult just because of the nature of this building being so linear. But they're coming up with some good ideas. They maybe use like 5,000-pound concrete instead of 4,000 pound. It allows them to move the forms sooner. You know, small things like that might not give us the 40 days, but it certainly help us catch up some of the time that was lost due to all the El Paso delays.
So right now, you're suggesting that with those delays, we're looking at that June 2020 date?
We're still looking, right now, and you'll see, I'll get into the schedule in a little while, but if you'll see right now, we're, substantial completion, this is the contractual substantial completion. So contractually, we haven't changed that date yet, we will. But right now, if you put 30 days, you're looking at middle of July, 30 days to finish the occupancy, you're still looking at fall. And that's what everybody's pretty cognizant about, is trying to hit that fall semester. That's what we're really trying. I know that there's a possibility that we can go up to November, but we're really not considering that. We're really trying our very hardest to go into the fall, and that's how we, right now, working with contractors as far as getting that done. Of course, we got 2 years to go, so you know what, it'll take probably a real bad rain. It could put a damper on our plans, but for right now, we're still looking at occupying in the fall. Did I address?
Is the safety incident the only one we've heard
Oh.
reported so far?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. We did have our first incident. It was a sprained ankle, thank goodness. There was no lost injury time for that. But it was our first small accident. It was a people twist. Also, as far as the grade beams, we're approximately 15%. And that big tower crane you see was set up on the October 20th weekend. Going on to the next, going on to the buildings. It's actually, this is fairly typical in our projects right now. We're slightly behind, but you'll start seeing Valle Verde and later EPCC start seeing.
Back to previous, have they drilled the,
Piers are done.
Huh?
They're all done.
The piers are already in?
Yes, sir.
And poured?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They're all done. As a matter of fact, let me show you here real quick. This area here is the stairs. They already started working on the foundation of the stairs. And here's the lobby and elevator right here, so you can tell they're already starting
How
on.
many piers were there? 8?
Oh, 76.
I mean, the big ones.
He was a lot.
27 big ones.
I want to say total about, I don't know, it was about 7 total.
Total 70. I want to say 72, but.
Yeah. It's about, but he was a lot of them, even the bigger ones.
Well, that's right, the ones that were like 3 feet across.
There was some 6 feet.
Oh, yeah, those
Six,
were.
6 feet, and there were how many of those?
I want to say the 6 feeters were almost 10 or 12. I don't
Is that,
know.
okay, that's the one I was watching.
And it was hard digging. They broke their machine 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
They did rock.
And is everything going okay with the parking and the,
To our knowledge, there hasn't been any complaints.
I mean, I drive by and I see,
Carrie, are you aware of anything?
We've been sending out regular announcements when needed, and to our knowledge, we haven't heard any additional concerns.
I've met with faculty senate on a regular basis. Initially, there was one concern. I spent the first day of classes this semester on that campus. Did not use one of their parking spaces. I parked at the Mills parking lot and walked to the campus.
you got some steps in?
I got some steps in, and the temporary lots that the board moved forward with leasing, I and Jay, one was half full, one was 2 to 3 cars that first day. So we have not, we did get a concern from a faculty member, but even meeting with faculty senate president Ms. Bell, they had gone out there and they don't see any issues today.
Mr. Ruxer?
Saturday or Sunday, somebody really did a number on the parking sign for the parking lot across from Catholic Church. Who pays for that?
We're going to have it repaired right now, but Ruben and I were discussing that. Just to get it done
You
quick.
should, because they left about a third of their rear windshield in the area too. Glass
I
and
guess there
everything.
was some.
But who pays that? What we do, we'll see what we recover later.
If it's our students, us, it is.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
it was late Saturday,
Yeah.
check the police log for denied sobriety test.
Do we know that it was Saturday?
I didn't see it Friday.
You didn't witness it by any chance, did you, Mr. Officer?
My car's in good shape.
Ruben, how long are we leasing the other two lots for?
So lot J, we are leasing for the entire 2 years construction time.
Okay.
That's the lot that's a little bit further away. Lot I, which is the lot with the sign problem, we're leasing that through February of
February.
2019.
Just a few more months.
Just a few more months. Now, we can extend that. We've been offered an extension.
I've asked Mr. Gallardo to move forward with the extension. I think it's in the best interest of the college. We are negotiating. Apparently the owner believes that EPISD would like to purchase that lot. I have reached out to Superintendent Gallardo, who says he has no intention of buying that lot. So Mr. Gallardo is going to negotiate that for us at the best price possible. But I think it's in the best interest of the college. And the reason is, we'll brief the board in executive session on the reason why. I just think it's in the best interest of the college.
Thank you, Ruben.
So back to the billing, so we can tell in terms of dollars, we are running behind. You'll see this trend step on the other projects. The same thing on the percentage complete based on billings. It's identical to the dollar. As far as viaduct, big accomplishment today, as of this morning, the whole slab is completed. So we have a floor plan at least, and right now there's a lot of major events that we're putting to wrapping up. The underground domestic water is just waiting on the tap plant, as well as the utilities. The underground electrical is all complete. The main switch gear is actually on. The foundations, the spot footings are complete. So that's another major accomplishment. 60% complete for the grade beams. Concrete built-up panels, they're on preparing 5 panels, and the plan is right now to have in place on November 19th. And as far as utilities, fire tap is completed. Master meter for the Texas gas is still being designed by Texas gas. And as far as safety, 14,000 man-hours. As far as the buildings, again, this is actually very simple in all the projects. We're lagging a little bit, but I think some of this also has to do with the time delay. It says we didn't formalize it yet. This is still based on the original substation completion date. But as you can tell, there is a little bit of an uptick, which is positive. And I really firmly believe like in 2-3 months we'll see this closing this gap. As you can tell, it was going this way, but now it's kind of starting to reflect what the plan was. With the Viator, the TTC, this one is moving along very quickly. Like Mr. Roberto said, it's a big volume. It's a significantly big building. Mike, so you can tell here, this area here is the automotive and collision area. This is the diesel area, and this is the classroom and the main entry lobby area. As far as the side, the self-containing wall here, it's about 99% complete, it's just about ready to be wrapped up. The earthwork is 60%. There's a pond over here to handle the storm water. That's about, I wish I could show, but the video couldn't quite catch it. That pond is about 25% complete. And the fire line is complete. As far as the diesel lab, which is this area here, sheeting is 80% complete. The ductwork is 50% complete. And then the electrical rough end is 50% complete. Automotive lab, which is this area here, the roofing is at 10%, ductwork 60%, the electrical rough end 60%, and all the metal framing in here is complete. The classroom area, which is this lower area here, the sheeting is complete, roofing 10%, All the metal studs are complete. And the electrical rough end is almost done at 90%, and door frames are pretty much done at 98%. On the next board meeting, I'm sure these will be at 100%. Back on the same plan versus actual billings, you can tell it's nearly $1 million behind, but you'll see this coming up too, particularly as we approve this equipment package that will go to you later this evening. Again, like Valle Verde, you see a little tech here that's starting to try to correct this. Right here, you said going this way, it's starting to go up. Same thing here on the plan, so it's starting to parallel what is planned.
Mr. Ruxer, do you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Go back onto that graph.
This one?
Okay, I see that in each and every one we have what is the actual buildings versus billings versus planned completed buildings.
Yes, sir.
Do you have that number total, that delta between the total for the whole project? And where I'm going with this is that I like to see it below, okay?
Absolutely.
But what we're gonna do is we're gonna be building a little bit more that was planned. I would like to see that total along, because somewhere along the way, we're gonna say, well, you know, what happened is that we've done so well, there's a yeah, but coming in. Yeah, but look what we can do this, I know, I wanna see how much we've saved all along, so that we can actually make an informed decision rather than maybe sneaking in a little bit here, a little bit there. Or, no, we have some play, and because see a little bit less, and so I have a little bit of money that I can play with. I want to play with it, not you.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, but I would like to see that total. If you have
I guess
that.
If I'm reading you right, this, you'd like to see the total up there?
No, right now it says on October the 18th, there's what, X number of dollars?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You'd like to see that delta?
Yeah, I'd like to see that total by project and total each month.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just to see how much
As a matter
the
of fact-
total project is under.
Absolutely.
Ms. Shaughnessy, did you have input?
Well, I think I want to make sure Mr. Axer understands that doesn't mean we have savings. We're just not up to par, up to the plan.
But I want to do that because I want to make sure that all of a sudden we didn't, I've seen this before, you've got bills and well, I'll submit it later. And I don't want to see it all of a sudden jump up here, we never really, or look at this money, we really, the billings have really not caught up what we budget. You know, we keep building extra slush fund that is covered somewhere else. And that's not a slush fund to be used.
But the delta here is not a savings.
No, it's just a difference, but I wanna make
It's a
sure
difference between-
that somewhere along the line, we don't all of a sudden come up and find out, hey, you know, this is a function of when the bills are submitted.
Right.
Okay, and there is a bill that could be tabled and not submitted till October the 2nd, that would make a difference in that. I've done that. I've done that knowing that this China chart will come up. What I will do is I will save a bill for 5 or 7 days so that it doesn't come up until next month. And all of a sudden my chart looks even better. I'm sorry, but
Yeah, and let me
So-
kind of, I think that typically the contractors that we're familiar with typically try to do the other thing. They try to charge ahead of time and project.
With the, not.
Right, without having completed. So the process to come with this, so we've gotten a schedule and a planned expenditure of all the funds, right?
I
It's a
understand.
plan, obviously, but it is an indication of what percentage complete they're gonna be at.
I understand.
And every month we meet together with the contractor and the architect and your staff, and we go over the schedule of values, and we say, for, say, roofing, you're 10%, and they say, no, we're 20%. No, you're not, and so we kind of bring them down to what they've actually progressed, and that's what we have here on the orange line. So the orange line, basically, when we're below the plan, that means that we're late, we're behind schedule. We're obviously gonna try to catch up, like he said, but this is a reflection of being late, and not so much because of the contractors, but because of the delays that we've had with opening up the sites to them. When it comes to removing El Paso electric lines and gas lines that have been in the way. But anyways, I understand what you're saying. But I just wanted to clarify for the rest of the board that there's no realized savings here. It's more of being late.
And, excuse me. And if I may add, thank you. If I might add, it's important to realize that this blue curve that's established, albeit it's fairly accurate, it's an estimate. It's a projection, so.
The only hard number you have is the upper right-hand corner.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
So this kind of, it's a tool we use, but it's not, unless things really start going astray, there's a certain flexibility there versus what they estimated, and maybe the guy billed the next month, he started billing the month before, and like Mel said, they may be getting behind because of the time. So there's a number of factors that contribute to this, notwithstanding the fact that it is an estimate, so.
But that 11.55% delta right there represents X number of dollars.
Yes, sir.
I want to
Absolutely,
see
yeah.
that X number of dollars.
Actually, it represents this one right here. It's the they estimated 3.9 million.
And you can put that in an Excel spreadsheet that has.
We do have that.
Okay.
I'll be glad to share it with the board if you'd like to see that.
I would like to see that.
Okay, I'll be more than happy to share that because all these charts are based on that spreadsheet. They can plug in on the chart. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to do that. So on the Trans Mountain here, this is a particularly interesting slide, I think, because it shows the whole campus and you see how that fits very nicely in that part of the campus. I'm sorry? I think it fits great. And the massing, now you really can get a sense for the massing because that's really how it's going to look like. They still have to put the veneer and all that. But other than that, that's the massing.
It's already looking nice.
Yeah.
We checked it out last week.
Oh, really? That's great. So now the structure's still in CMU for the wing walls. It's all complete now. As you can tell, wall framing 95%, electrical roofing 95%, stucco, scratch and brown coats 95%. So there's a lot of things being accomplished. There's 24,997 man hours and no incidents. And they're moving right along. We're actually hoping that they even finish a little bit earlier. In the grand scheme of things, you'll see just a minute how this is going to fit into context. But I think we're fine here.
So they'll finish early and under budget.
Early under budget. That's something I need to talk to you about. I will get back to you on that.
It looks like it because the orange line is always below the blue line. That's right.
That's a good point. I can't argue with that. But hopefully it'll catch up because ultimately we have.
Hopefully it won't catch up.
Well, that number of dollars are already encumbered. They already so eventually they will. If anything, it might be a little more because of change orders, which is something.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
We discussed it so many times that I was, I lost track of. Didn't we agree that the entrance was gonna change to the Trans Mountain campus, the main entrance?
Not with the size of the building. It's a really good point, Dr. Brown. Initially, when we were looking at adding a more significant structure, a standalone building, we were gonna change the entrance. When we decided to make it an addition, we went ahead and left the entrance as is.
As is?
Yes, ma'am. But it's a really good point, and I remember that as well. We were looking at, the building was gonna be further in front, that you'd be able to see it off of 54. And when it was gonna be a one-story building, what it was gonna do was block the view of the mountains. And therefore, that's when we transitioned and moved it over to the existing doors right by the theater.
Okay, so, but when you're coming off the gateway to get into the actual, there's nothing to change the entrance?
Not yet.
The presence of the college?
Other than we're looking at monument signs on each of the campuses. That's what
The monuments will change.
Correct.
And just in terms of an update for that, Dr. Graham, we actually going to meet next week with the committee, with the sign consultant who's going to bring some solutions. It will be 3 monumental signs, basically for the ones that face the highway. It will be Northwest Mission and Trans Mountain. It will be more standard size for the other campuses, but it's certainly in the works.
Was there a discussion of any print on there to have like the schools, we always have the marquees and with the name of the school, and then of course they can advertise all they want on those marquees. there was no
I
discussion.
don't think
or anything
we're
like that?
writing any advertisement in it. My understanding is that will be just for the college with no advertisements, but we're certainly gonna bring all those signs for your review and approval.
You know, the reason being that we pay so much money, I don't know, Carrie, how much we pay for the billboards, and, you know, if it's on our property and everything's ready, why not put something out there that,
We certainly,
We look at it.
we'll certainly bring
maybe your
that up.
company could donate one for a college.
Look how he looked away really fast.
We'll even let you write in there in small letters the name of your company or something.
I'll get back on it.
Let me change the subject really fast.
Mel's even changing colors.
But certainly, we'll visit about that. Like I told you, we're gonna have a meeting next week, and that'll be a good time to certainly discuss that with the
Only
committee.
because the campuses have so many activities going on that would be a great forum, you know, for us to announce what activities are going on or advertise something like registration dates or graduation dates. If we
We
had
have that
that,
apply a bit, but you're right, none of the other campuses have that, where we have that ability.
Right, Northwest has a lot of advertisements, just not for us.
but they're paying, aren't they? The Northwest advertising?
There is a contract in place, and I'm not really sure who benefits from that.
The only benefit we got is we got a sign. But the problem is that the advertisement is almost as big as the name of the college.
It is
It is larger.
Like Benny's Pawn Shop, just,
That's one that, but I hear it, Doctor, the one at VV is decent, and I like it. One at Northwest is questionable.
the only thing we got,
Thank
yeah,
you.
we only got a free sign out of it.
Oh, that's it?
And not much of one either, to be quite honest.
Yeah, but see, you guys are making a lot of money right now, and you're doing a great job. But, you know, I mean, it's not gonna get too much out of your pocket to throw in.
Do you have me go to the next slide?
No, I think what we'd like to do is, we probably need to put together in context what the consultant is proposing,
Absolutely.
and then evaluate what the cost of doing the electronic sign would
Yeah,
be.
keep in mind the orange chart and the blue line. Just keep the orange and blue line in mind when you do that.
All right. Yeah, so let's see, evaluate the cost so that we can bring it up to you and then make a decision on that. I mean, it is just a matter of dollars.
Well, and if you've already got the construction site, the companies are there, they're building, you know, the equipment and all that, it's a lot less than if it's already done and then we decide, oh, we should have put this there, now we gotta bring in companies, RFPs and all that stuff.
Dr. Graham's trying to save you money, Mel.
We'll do it, we work for the pleasure of the board.
But it's good timing to bring that up, because we haven't met with them specifically on what the sign's gonna look like. So this is an option we can price in as well, see how that might go.
And I know that for us in the schools, it helps immediately because before the school is even completed, you're already giving the public information as to the name of the school, you know, the date of whatever.
Do you ever have, I know we have the challenge at Biomed of having somebody updated on a regular basis. Do you ever have that issue at the schools?
Usually the secretary or.
The pressure's on the principal to ensure that things are up to date and, and then the principal delegates it to the custodian who gets it in writing and then gets the letter in out or whatever. But,
The
yeah.
principal gives it to the secretary gives it to the custodian, and the custodian is in charge of it.
And then the superintendent drives around and God forbid that there's one that's outdated, we're
Yes.
gonna hear about it.
Very good. I'll report back to you after our meeting, maybe at the next board meeting or the one after that. Very good. So, like I said, 24,097 hours in the residence, which is excellent.
That's great.
The same thing with the buildings. This one's a little deceiving because of the delays we've had as well. They'll get adjusted. But as you can tell, it's actually looking more of a curve here, not much has changed since the last time we met. I'm just gonna keep this slide updated with every meeting.
Oh,
so you'll-
appreciate it, thank you.
So if something changes, these are the actual contractual dates that they have in the contract. And as we get, like, for example, just to give you an example, on the Rio Grande, we're still debating if it's gonna be 40 days or 30 days. Once that is all agreed upon, then we'll issue a change order to adjust contractually, and once that's done, then we'll update these days. But right now, nothing's changed in terms of the semester for which.
And you don't see any red flags that we need to be aware of at this time?
No, the only one, obviously, that I'm concerned about is Rio Grande, just
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's Rio Grande.
Well,
You stole my answer. That was funny.
it's out
You stole
of
my
your
answer.
hands, and we should have, hindsight's 2020.
And some of these things like, how, they call for a pass electric in June, and they don't show up till September,
I have the same
okay,
problem with it.
How could you foresee that? It's, same thing with Trans Mountain, it was back in October, they didn't show up till like March, it's those kind of things are hard.
They don't know we have Dr. Graham on our board? Come on.
We're relying on Art to put pressure on those
Yeah.
people.
We'll call El Paso Electric.
Right?
But all that being said, we're still absolutely making the push to open the.
And you're finding that the companies that you are working with, they're responding well?
They're outstanding. I honestly, I'm very thankful for not only the architects we have, but the contractors as well. Even Flintco that just started in Mission Del Paso, like you can tell, they just blew and go, and they were entitled to 45 days delays. After we talked to them, they decided on 35 just because they're nice, and that's certainly notable and appreciated. So far, they're one outstanding. I'm very, very thankful for what we have in terms of the team we have.
What percentage of those subcontractors are not local?
In all the projects, I had that in the chart, but honestly, I can't recall. But it's
Will
not.
you bring for the next meeting?
Yeah, yes, sir.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's just really
We
for
had
our
showed
information.
91%, I think. if I'm
Yes, sir.
not
Yeah,
mistaken.
it was very, very small percentage out of town.
Well over 80%.
Wait, is that the
were
one
local.
that we had the meeting with?
No, we're just
Oh,
overall,
general.
on all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
will
that one's
certainly,
a local company.
I'll certainly have it, yes, sir. And I apologize for not.
Oh, no,
remembering
no,
that.
Mr. Uxer remembers it. I mean, I just didn't.
The number is good, overall it's a good number.
Thank you.
So as far as the budget, not much, many changes from last presentation. Just I want to bring something to your attention, which is Trans Mountain here. As you can tell, it's also a very small project, so there's not a whole lot of funds involved with it. But this right here, as you can tell, the construction contingency is $173,000. The project contingency is very small, $16,000, but I think we're pretty much over the hump on the project contingency. But the construction contingency, given these two items, it could bring us to about 40,000, or will bring us to about 40,000 contingency to the project. That's extremely tight. That being said, and this $62,000, I'm going to be speaking to you about that, explaining to you. This other one was because of the stoppage delay. We did quite a bit of negotiation with the contractor. We brought him down the number, but that's about the number that we'll have to reimburse him for. That being said, there's a fund that Ms. Chauncey, I made a promise to her we wouldn't use without actually consulting with her. We do have expenditure allowances for 18 that we might have to dip into should the occasion, because right now, Trans Mountain, because it's just the nature of the size of it is so small. That being said, I've already talked to our other program manager that's working on Trans Mountain, and told them that we really just need to say no because we just don't have the money. So unless something absolutely critical that comes about, and with EPCC's concurrence, then I'll come back and approach you all about it. But in general, our plan is just to tighten the hatches and try to stay on that budget. But so you won't be too concerned. There is that little bit of expenditure allowance there that we can do. which is bond-wise. This is for the bond. This is the exact same numbers I showed last time. The only difference is I had a $2,400 difference on the land acquisition, the actual land acquisition cost. I had a error of $2,400, so that's been adjusted, and that's about the only change from the last board meeting.
When you said that you'll come back to us, is that something that can be decided without having to wait?
Yeah,
So that
absolutely.
it doesn't delay the progress?
Absolutely, and like I said, if it's under $50,000 in general, I talked to Ms. Chauncey here, and I talked to the representatives from Alpes Community College. If they're okay with it, that's what we'll approve it. But if it's over 50,000, like this one, I'll bring in just a minute, then we'll be required to bring it to you for your consideration. But in
But it
general.
won't delay the project?
No, if it delays, we'll figure out, right, you all been kind enough to say that you can call for a meeting anytime. So
Yes.
far, knock on wood, it hasn't been necessary, but if there's such thing, we'll certainly take you up on it.
Yeah, because at the end of it, when it's all said and done, we don't want to know that it got delayed because the board wasn't.
Oh,
ready.
absolutely not, no. No. You all have been nothing but wonderful, and I certainly expect that to continue. Ms. Chauncey, do you need to say something about it?
Oh, just wanted to know that I distributed an update on the budget versus actual expenditures. Okay, so you'll see a summary, there's a summary sheet of all the projects for the budget, and then attached to that summary is each one of the projects that is being tracked for expenditures versus budget. So we meet on a regular basis with once a month before we meet for this meeting, we go ahead and review the information with ECM to make sure that we are on track.
Is this essentially the blue line versus the orange line concept? Is this essentially the blue line?
Sort of. Well, these expenditures are really, as we are booking, we're making the payments. Obviously, they are entered in our system and now being tracked. But yes, in a way it is. In a way it is. Yeah. The blue line was more like projected expenditures over time, and then the actual payments, then it reflects the actual payments, and this is in this spreadsheet. So if you're really,
Blue line
really,
is
really
budgeted.
not sleepy at night, all you have to do is read this, and you will fall asleep really quickly. There's a lot of information there. A lot of information.
Is this a political ad? On top of a fold. I never got my picture. I'm sorry, but
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Chauncey.
Hi, Josh.
okay, so we're ready to move. Oh, you're gonna join us? Pat, would you please note that it's 7:10 and Judge Haggard. Action. We are ready for the action items, right?
Yes, sir. So the first action item, it's actually kind of awkward to bring this to you because if you recall at the last board meeting, I asked you for permission for rezoning. And when we finally got the permit, when our architect went back to the city, they said they talked to the manager for planning, and he didn't want to do that. So basically, he wants us just to submit like we've been submitting all the other projects. And so this action item is basically rescind your previous approval. We already started the process of issuing the revised zone, and they will give us the money back on the application. But
Did he
so-
give you a reason for it?
just because their boss didn't want to do it, honestly, that was their.
Well, why did they tell you, so they told you to do it without talking to the boss? or-
Well, it's certainly not very kosher for them to do this because, as you recall, we spent about 40 minutes working on this, 4 months, and so yes, sir. Go.
Tell me exactly what we zoned it for in the first place.
The zoning is right now is rezoning residential, and with a special SP. What we applied for was for C1 for commercial, and part of the reason they wanted us to do that was, first of all, to make the city zoning map right, to make it right, and there was some advantage to the college as well, the possibility of the land increasing value, but also not have to deal with all these issues each time. So next time, let's say for instance, on the 2020 bond, you're gonna do the addition that we didn't do originally as part of Northwest. Now, you're gonna have to go through the same process again that we went through.
So-
And we got the rezoning then.
We went through zoning to try to get it commercial, we thought we had it, now it has to go back to residential.
Just stays the way it is.
It
Yeah,
stays in
we just
residential.
submitted like we're not rezoning. And we already had all the paperwork done from the original application, so from that standpoint, even the latest, what was disappointing was the fact that we could have done this 3 months ago.
And is there any negative to the district by doing it this way?
It keeps the status quo. In other words, it's what we thought all along that we were gonna do. And we'll have to deal with it again if this comes up. So from the standpoint, I felt it was, at least personally, there was a little bit of an advantage to go ahead and rezone, so you could have that C1 classification, and then it would be simpler, the permit process
Save
would
us
be
these
simpler.
steps.
Yes, sir. But
But they didn't give a reason as to why they don't want to go forward with the way you had suggested.
honestly, all they said was, we basically changed our mind. And I'm sort of really making a big deal out of it.
Yeah, and remember, this Northwest campus was the one that got significantly delayed because of the Cantillo deal with the parking structure. So at this point, we felt in consultation with the staff that we just want to roll with the punches that get going.
Right.
Because it's costing us money to have a contractor there mobilized and not being able to
Good point.
to run on it.
All over parking?
There was a situation with, we're sharing parking with Canutillo for their football games, and there's an ordinance that holds us to that agreement, and we're taking part of that parking spaces. So they had a hiccup. It's a long story, I mean, I can share with you if you
The
want.
previous board approved an MOU with the San Antonio Sheriff.
And so, kind of a long explanation, planning department of the city has a new boss, Mr. Philip.
I can pronounce
He
that.
it's a couple months old in El Paso. And so he had his opinion, and at this point we say, let's just get a permit. We're working on a temporary permit that puts us at risk. Temporary construction permit, to allow us to do earthwork, and then to allow us to do a rock wall, and so they've been piecemealing us. And so I think our recommendation as your program manager is to just go with it, and then if at any other time we want to push this rezoning, we can always do it.
Even if there's not a project going on, you can.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, you can.
So at the end of this project?
Yes, yes, independent of your project, you can rezone later on.
Mel actually has got an excellent point, because what really happened is, if at the time with the architect I said, no, we want to proceed with rezoning, we didn't have gotten the permit, and then that was basically ruined the project. So the smart thing to do was just, okay, play along, and just give us the
And
permit.
take
and they
care
did.
of that later on.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I think, I make a motion to rescind the motion, the original motion from October 15th. Second, all in favor?
The next action, actually, it dovetails in what we're talking about. Notwithstanding, the city still is requiring us to work out the issue in Canopy Independent School District. And as such, they basically require us, in order for them to dissolve the ordinance that was signed in the city, they basically had us sign an identical document but excludes the city. So it's just between Canopy ISD and the college. That being said, the attorneys for EPCC drafted an agreement, and basically content is very similar to what was there before, except this time excludes the city. With that document, they were able to take that to the city council and cancel that other ordinance. So this becomes an agreement.
So in October, if I understand correctly, Cantillo Independent School District approved the dissolving of the MOU we had. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Their board. So now we have to go back to them again and ask them to take out the city.
Right, so basically what we did, this is document, it's a 3-page document, and they already signed it. So
Right.
all is waiting for y'all to, after this meeting, if y'all concur. And well, as you can tell now, it's an agreement, it's not an ordinance. And it's agreement between the county.
Okay.
It's the city.
It's the city. So I
and-
make a motion that we formally approve an agreement to be entered into by the Canutillo Independent School District and the El Paso County Community College District regarding the use of EPCC Northwest Campus parking facilities.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Graham. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Oh, my God. Pam, would you please note?
I think they should pay for the parking.
So where does the city fit, Mr. Bettis, with regards to soccer on the weekends?
That's what I was gonna bring up.
'Cause
That,
now they're out.
Well, but we had a motion on the table.
Oh, you
Oh,
already
now
passed
we
it.
passed it, yeah, we
Passed
I wanted
It's
one note,
passed,
yes.
But we didn't discuss this, so that was the problem we were talking about last time I was here, is that there's no car parking on the weekend with all this other stuff. But now you're
Perhaps-
telling me with this motion that's
Well,
out.
I'm asking staff for clarification, actually probably our staff more than Mr. Bettis. From your all's interpretation with the city out, we don't have an obligation to provide any parking now for soccer on the weekends.
Beyond the.
That's a
separate.
It's a
separate
separate
agreement, sir,
part.
it's not.
Oh, we have a separate agreement.
Mhm.
Yes,
This is
they do.
for the parking.
So this one was,
Number of
okay.
parking spaces.
This one is just for the football game.
This was just for, okay.
See,
Football
that
game.
was part of the reason this all got
This
into
one's for the stadium.
Yeah, part of the reason this got so problematic is that all times we've been telling, well, there's the parking agreement, there's a parking agreement. And we all thought was the parking agreement between the city for the soccer fields.
Right.
And then it turns out that there was obscure agreement that nobody's aware of between the
College and-
city and the school and the college. And that's the agreement we're talking about.
Can you see if this signature is on that agreement? Brian P. Haggard.
I just wanna make sure that, you know, it's not, our students are paying to go to college, and drive up and there's
Oh, no.
some kid playing soccer in his parking spot.
Once we get everything resolved, we really need to look at it
To pursue it.
and look at charging on weekends or something that somebody can go back to. If we're gonna do it, somebody can go back to student government or something.
Or the athletic department.
Or like the
The city should follow their own ordinance. They put a soccer field in there, they should put parking lot.
They have 2 parking spaces.
And tell the rest of us what we gotta do, but then they go and they screw up and then, oh, well, we'll just take your parking.
But I think, Judge, right now, they just need to move forward with the project, and then we should tackle this one
Yeah.
after the project's complete.
We'll send
Kick the
I
to the
think-
bottom, Mr. Garland.
Kick the can down the road for the next board.
No.
No, no,
You may want to research what other obscure agreements have been made in the past
yeah.
by
Judge,
some of
you know.
these board members that have been here forever.
I'm sure I voted against it.
You know, the
Go back and look at the records. I'm
The
sure.
agreement with the city, they did construct, I think, 600 some odd spaces for us, and they paid for that construction. With the understanding on weekends, they would be able to make use of them.
But Ms. Robles
They
has
just
a
practice
point.
on
We
the
need to
weekends,
look.
right? It's not actual games that they have?
Correct.
I thought it was the only time that they used it was for practice.
But they use it for weekend.
They use it for like, the city has leagues.
Yeah.
Oh,
They use
okay.
it for-
But Ms. Robles has a point. Dr. Sartor, can you follow up
Absolutely.
on Mrs. Robles' recommendation? Okay. Now we are on 5.3.
Yes, sir.
But even, just going back
Yes,
1 minute, even on the weekend use and all that, there should be some kind of tracking system of the use of facilities, because, you know, I was sharing with Dr. Serrata that, you know, really, what responsibilities do we have there? You know, if the city leagues are charging
Mhm.
the players to play the games, then by all means, they should be paying a fee for using the college facilities. Now, if it's a nonprofit, you know, a little Boy Scouts or a little league that's not charging the kiddos a registration fee and all that, some of these leagues are making millions off of our young people. So they should be charged a fee for using the facilities, in my opinion.
Thank you, Dr.
Anyway,
Graham.
that's-
5.3 looks interesting.
Yeah, so this is what we have right now at Trans Mountain. As you can tell, this is the new building, which you already actually saw the massing for. This is what was there before in terms of contours. And what was happening is there's the water is flowing, the existing contours, the way it is right now, it's flowing, or the way it was drawn out, correction, the way it was drawn out. The water is flowing this way. And over here, you can see there's some ice water storage tanks for the mechanical system for the building, for the existing building. And what was happening, and they actually happened to observe this during construction, is when it rained a lot, if you recall, we had some pretty good rains lately. This array here was just flooding, and the speed of the water was pretty considerable. And so what the concern is, see, we're gonna install another more ice storage tanks here. So the concern was, see how close it's getting there to the bottom of the array? See, the concern is all this is in concrete, but what happens if that water starts getting under the slab, and all of a sudden, before you know, you have the water, the slab tilt up and all those tanks would spill. So honestly, I don't know who picked this up first, but it was a real good catch. Mr. Lovato, do you happen to know who caught this?
The architects.
The architect, yeah. So it was an excellent catch because this has the potential, maybe not in the near future, but eventually to be a major problem. So then what happened, here's the area. See, here's the ice storage tanks right here. The water comes over this way. And see, we're going to add here, so we're actually getting closer to the arroyo. We're going to add here some additional ice storage tanks. So what you can tell, so the solution from the architect, and it's quite a good one, is to build, to build this area here. I'm going to cut a section through here so you can get a good feeling for what it is. See, you're cutting through there, you're building this concrete swale. So the bottom of that arroyo is actually going to be concrete now, and it's going to extend quite a ways to be concreted. Furthermore, to protect this corner here, as you can tell, it's pretty close to the arroyo. They're proposing some riprap and cutting a section through this area here. This is what you have. It's all built of rock, and so you'll stabilize that for not, I don't want to say for eternity, but for quite a while.
It's your first over budget.
So the cost associated with this is $61,740. I added $82,960 for contingency, for a total of $70,000, and also includes a 20-day calendar extension. ECM certainly recommends this. We do realize, and we are cognizant that it's a pretty good chunk of change given the amount we have in the contingency. That being said, I think will be a real good expenditure of that contingency. So this is...
That's kind of what they did to the Chamizal area of the Rio Grande. They just put that kind of concrete or whatever to keep it from moving again.
Right, because it can be fairly catastrophic. And can you imagine those ice?
Why do you need so many days, 20 days? Why can't they do it within the project itself?
That's actually a good question. I thought the same thing. The main reason is a diversion of manpower. They have a limited amount of manpower, and they're still lacking. If you see at the pictures, if you recall, there's a lot of site work still to go. So it's in that critical path time. But actually, I asked the same question.
Now, is that something that can go in the same contracts that they already have, or does it have to be re-advertised?
Oh, no. It will be a change to their contract, and they will change this with their subcontractor. They'll do that change with subcontractor. Ultimately, we don't think it'll take ultimately 20 days. We think they may, but right now I guess they're just trying to be cautious and really, in terms of making a difference in when they complete. We think maybe more than 16 days or something like that. But just to be fair to them, the assistance, so we could.
Now, is it extending it beyond that time when we would normally?
Contractually, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right now it's March 23rd is the completion date. So you'll give them contractually another 20 days.
So what would that do to the?
It really, It
doesn't
doesn't.
impact us, because we'd be looking at utilizing it for the summer.
Okay.
And keeping in mind, even if that work is concurrent, we can be, say if they're towards the end part, they can be working on that, and we can be moving stuff inside. So there's ways of working there. I think right now they're just being cautious. But basically, I think it's a good expense.
But if we don't spend the money to get it done now, we'll probably have to do it later.
We certainly
Good
get more.
change.
Because right now you have everybody mobilized. If you had to procure to advertise it, you'll have to pay a consultant out to do some drawings, and not only will delay it, you also have the risk of something happening. Now, who do you call for a warranty? You already have a contractor. So we would really recommend that this part of this project.
Mr. Lovato, your team is in agreement with this?
Yes, sir. I've always been concerned about that over.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve this, change order in the amount not to exceed $70,000 for the Trans Mountain Campus construction project.
Ms. Rob?
Open systems
Oh, I'm
under
sorry.
concrete soil and protect the area from further soil erosion.
Sorry, Dr.
Second.
Graham. Ms. Robles, sorry, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, thank you.
Trans Mountain came from.
Oh. Item 5.4, please.
Okay. This actually is a very, very important change order. We're very fortunate in this case. I don't think we'll be that fortunate with other contractors. But they agreed to absorb the equipment and the construction cost with a markup of 2% plus 2% bonds. Typically, they would be entitled to 10%, but they were kind enough to. And now they're regretting the decision, by the way, because they've been extremely busy with this work. But that being said, this is something that's absolutely essential to the mission of the building. It is high, so we'll know the amount I'm giving you not to exceed will be lower than that. I can guarantee that. We're still working with the vendors on trying to reduce the cost. This is basically all the equipment, and you can tell this is for the diesel area. And this is just some of it. It's all, I actually have the spreadsheet if you'd like to see it.
But this is monies that we are already budgeted for
Yes, sir.
this.
Absolutely.
We're just trying
It's
to.
already
have
budgeted. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think you might want to explain that this was at the beginning of the process, this was
That's a good point.
to be purchased directly by the district.
Right.
And it caused trouble because of the procurement and the situation. So it's a more elegant solution is to put it under the contractor so that they can be responsible for the installation and they don't say, well, you gave me the wrong equipment type
Oh,
of thing.
great, the contractor goes to jail now, not the procurement guy.
And so it's really just a transfer of money, right?
That's a really good point. Thank you, Mel, because that is true. We had a line item for equipment, and we're just moving that money out to the contractor.
We make a motion that we approve the proposed change order in the amount not to exceed $900,000 for the Valle Verde Transportation Training Center construction project. The VCO includes equipment needed for faculty, staff, and students in the new building and installation.
Is there a second?
Second.
He's not gonna second?
It's not.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John?
It doesn't pass.
Okay, I'll, motion passes.
And that concludes this presentation. Any questions?
You know, would you mind, doing your little, video
Oh,
for,
absolutely. Yes, sir.
Miss Solis and Miss Magdalene? Since they don't show up on time, so.
And Judge
What
Hager.
about
Judge
the
Hagerty.
fair?
You're not-
Do we need popcorn? No.
The rest of us
There
are
is
just
popcorn.
important stuff.
I already ate it all.
So since you work paying this contract at 2%, yeah,
Oh, this is the drone picture?
18,000.
Yeah, 18,000. What slows us down is the competitive process we have.
And there's some really good music.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that.
There you go.
He does complex spares.
Oh, that's pretty
I
nice.
know.
Okay, so we're
Like
expecting
soft.
to put the same.
Can I put metallic on?
Yeah.
Something a little bit more like.
Now you're talking.
Next time, next time. So is this a drone or?
Yes, please, it's a drone. We have a drone. This is all in the month of November. The drone pilot went there with the two projects. A week later, we went on the project.
And is this something, Carrie, that, I mean, could we put this on the website or is not? Yes. I mean, just kind of cool to.
We'd like to share any of, actually add more footage too, Carrie, if you need, well, then I don't.
Just send me an email. See, you have an email waiting.
Sarah sent you an email.
Like
You
mine.
got it.
I bet no of
It's
it.
very nice.
It's like, oh, it's a little.
I told you.
Let's see those beams.
Shit. Spend too much money.
We would tower on our campus.
Took out a
So right across the highway is the new Hunt Tower. So I'm gonna see which goes faster, Mr. Pettis, private money or public money?
Harry something or other.
His big old problem is they just don't use
It's right across right across, I just drove it today.
No pressure,
you know?
I wasn't
Sister.
No, it looks nicer when the walls go
Yeah,
up.
they do. I bet they don't have 52 here.
Selena me está poniendo atención. Selena. Mire, January 1, first day to submit.
Yeah, that's going up fast.
Yeah, that one's come up very fast. That one in Trans Mountain went fastest.
This is for the elections of my upcoming elections.
All it is an empty box.
Well, a lot of expensive equipment inside it.
Right?
Yeah, I got him to be
$900,000.
This is the one for us to sign up for. running
Wait till we
for
get to
re-election.
Rio Grande. It'll probably be that expensive, if not more, based on the kind of technology.
Re-election locality.
The guy that was there before was my divorce lawyer.
Louis
I
Andrews.
think it's going to be.
Yeah, but they didn't agree with it. Good.
I think it's at the end of.
Back in the 80s.
Where is it? Look up where, oh, here's the calendar.
No, pero no,
Oh, here it is.
I was
First
asking
day
John.
for voters.
Please read the motions.
But there's no one that we're supposed to be.
That popcorn is delicious.
Isn't it good?
I could eat that, that popcorn.
I could, I'm just telling you.
How can you make caramel popcorn worse? Put chocolate on it.
And
Thank you very much. Oh, see Pam, it is 5:17. Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion made.
What's wrong, Celine? I'm Solis, I'm sorry. You look like you want to say something.
No. Are we going into executive? Are we gonna do that at the board meeting?
13 minutes to the board meeting.
Oh, okay.
Is there a second to the?
Second.
All in favor?
I-
When's our next?